Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we have a brand new lighter that I just bought over the weekend. I put up a little short video yesterday previewing this lighter. This is pretty cool because I've had several of these Parks in the blue and clear plastic case with the foam inside, but I have never had one or seen one with the cardboard sleeve. It leads me to believe that they were probably sold by the case or a pretty good sized box as opposed to the typical gold colored Murfreesboro Park Avenue box. It's kind of hard to see the Park Avenue on this one. There's also, you can see where somebody had written something or written on a piece of paper on top of it. And those nice looking gold foil boxes usually look more like this one, in bad condition than the original one that I pulled out. It felt like it wanted to come out one side a little easier than the other. That cardboard sleeve was fairly clean, just had the one stain there on the outside of it. And there is some wear to the outside, or maybe it's the inside of the case. I didn't inspect it all that much in the moment. I saw later that you could see it and did not take note whether it was on the inside or outside. But this was listed as brand new and containing no flint. And so far, that all looks true. The plastic case looks in good condition besides just some normal surface wear like you would expect. You can see that piece of foam on the inside is a little bit pinched on the left, but the lighter appears to be brand new. And then you have the guarantee paperwork, and it is all very clean. That makes me very happy. Wish that wasn't turned off sideways like it is, but that's not all that big a deal. I've owned a lot of these Park Florentine or Venetian, whatever you call this design, that were used. This is the first brand new one, and this is much nicer than I expected it to look. Much nicer than the used version would imply. I can't really recall what I was actually looking for, but I had Googled Park for one reason or another and came across some advertising on a Park lighter that I had not encountered before. When I clicked on the image, I found that it led to a website that was currently being maintained, a Shopify website, where they were actually offering this lighter for sale. It appears as though they still have many of them to sell, as the listing speaks of these lighters. It kind of confused me a little bit until I saw that there was the option of how many you could choose. I can't remember. I think it went up to 10. I just assumed that was some kind of default. I don't know. I have a feeling maybe they have a whole box of these sitting around from this dealership back probably in the 1960s, maybe 1970s. It has the typical markings that you would expect from a Murfreesboro, Tennessee Park lighter. The case is made of aluminum, stamped on the bottom, Park lighter, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, USA. It has a satin finish along the spine and top and bottom. You can see the insert there. And there's a clue right off the bat. This lighter was sold as new condition, new old stock, and not having a flint in it. Not having a flint in it, to me, would tell me that the flint tube is clear. This lighter obviously has a flint in it, and it has obstructed the flint tube. It has degraded and turned to concrete dust inside of there, and therefore it will have to be drilled out before this lighter would be functional. Now you can see why I was so enamored and needed to purchase this lighter. Take note also of how dirty the bottom of that pad looked, because I'm going to clean it later. That is a solid fuel cell in this insert, by the way. But there is printed advertising on the side of this insert. Broadway Ford 35 and Broadway 753-4915. So it doesn't list an area code for the phone number. And on the back side you can see the brushed finish, but it is just plain, no printing, no precision made by Park Industries like I was hoping, or as you could reasonably expect. There you can see again how dirty the bottom of that pad is, and I wasn't sure until I touched it. It looked to me like it might pull up, like it was a felt pad, but it's not a pad. It's actually a solid foam fuel cell. Has a red plastic flint spring screw, which has a little bit of dust or corrosion, or I'm not sure what you would call the weather wear of plastic, but obviously we've gone through this many times. But if that flint wheel is spinning freely when the flint spring screw is all the way down, then obviously something's blocking it. And you can measure off how far the spring is going, and then you can, I mean, you don't have to be perfect. You can just tell in a roundabout way there. It's not getting anywhere close. It also looks like there's some buildup, maybe some green tarnish of some kind on the end of this flint spring screw, which would make sense to me, as it's probably brass, that tip, and brass, when it gets wet, may tarnish green, and you probably needed moisture to get up in that tube for that flint to concrete in the tube the way that it did. So after emailing the seller and letting them know they might want to update the listing to let potential buyers know they're going to have to drill out that tube, I decided I would go ahead and deal with this tube that is obstructed with this old degraded concreted flint. So you'll hear the drill bit. A lot of times with these parks you'll be able to just put pressure on it. That's kind of what I was hoping. That did not happen. I had to go back several times. Was starting to wonder whether I might have to get the drill out, to be honest. Never had a tube come loose in a park. I have encountered one or two that were already loose when I got them, but I don't know how much cranking a person might have to do. But you can see there now the drill has reached the file wheel, and then we'll pull that out, trying to keep all this away from that solid fuel cell. So I'll set that aside, wipe this off, and while you might think at that point that the tube was relatively clear, there's still a lot of obstruction in there. So we're going to have to go at it a little bit more before we finally get the top of that all cleared out. And of course then we will also blow it out. And I just try to tap it around in there, bouncing it off the sides of the walls so that the edges of that drill bit will catch whatever debris. You can see there now how clean that looked after blowing that off. That was amazing. I'd forgotten that I've been filming in here in the room where the air is, so I could actually use that in the video now. Once that drill bit has scraped all that debris off the sides of that flint tube though, then you'll be able to put your flint spring up in the tube and it will reach all the way up to the file wheel as it is supposed to. As I said, this has got a plastic screw, which is not all that desirable, but it's what you get when you get a Murfreesboro Park lighter, and I am thrilled to have this one. As I said, purchased from the Shopify website. I can't remember what it was now. If someone asks, I'll put it in the link. If I have further communication with the seller, I'll put a link down below the video. But I would suggest you checking it out for the price. $10, shipping was free. It was to my house in a couple of days. And even though I had to clean out the flint tube, that's not that big a deal. That's just kind of expected. I would like for the listing to have been correct and to have told me that, but that doesn't really deter me. I like buying these old lighters. This is exactly the kind of lighter that I want to add to my collection. Zippo has done these in the past with the advertising on the insert. So to me that was really cool then to see that Park did that also. And glad to add this one to my collection. Until next time.